Today we're going to do Wave Report number 21. I normally don't do these videos live. I normally just record them, but I wanted to go live because this is going to be a long video, and I wanted to see the reactions to everyone, some of the topics that we're going to talk about and discuss today. And I haven't been live in a little bit, so I figured I'll jump on live and do this Wave Report with you guys and get some of the comments, read some of the comments, and respond to a few of you today. All right. Been a little bit under the weather the last few days. Was supposed to be making. I took off. I was off the last couple of days, but I couldn't make any content because I wasn't really feeling well. You might hear it a little bit today, but I'll still get through the video today without too much of a problem. All right, but we do have a lot to cover today, mainly most of the news of the week. We're going to dip a little bit more into the Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk situation later on in this video, okay? I did cover the fight live, but I didn't do a follow-up video, and I'm glad I did. I normally like, especially when there's like controversy or, when the boxing community is split on a certain situation, I like to wait and see what the reactions are and come up with my own assessment. I was able to gather a lot of information on this, and I think things like this is good because it educates the community on what it should be done in these situations, and you also get to hear from all kind of people. I've heard different opinions from all of these world-class boxers, champions, current champions, former champions, and then even referees. You know what I mean? So it's the community is really split on that. And I'll speak more on that later. But shout out to the Racing Angel. Thank you, man. Thank you for donating, man. Appreciate you. I think I've asked you this before. Which BMW is that in your? It looks like a 2 Series. It looks like an M2. I can't tell. But I think I might have asked you this before, but is that an M2 in your picture? If it is, let me know. But yeah, shout out to Racing Angel. Thank you. 2017 M2. Okay, cool. So let's get on with today's video. Let's start out with the first topic. And the first topic is going to be Jared Anderson. He recently beat up Andriy Rudenko this past Saturday. All right, he stopped him in 5 rounds. And I didn't cover the fight. I told you guys I wasn't going to be available to cover the fight last week. But I did watch the fight. And what I gathered from the fight is that this was just a confidence booster for Jared Anderson. He was in there recently. He was in there tough with Charles Martin. And I thought it was, I said even then, Bob needs to get Jared Anderson back in the ring quick. It was a tough fight. He got hurt a couple times. And it was the first time of him going to distance, which he shouldn't be ashamed of because Charles Martin is a former champion. He was able to hurt him. I think he even dropped him in the fight. I can't remember, but it was a really, really tough fight. And it was a replacement opponent for Jared Anderson. And, it's nothing to be ashamed of, but Jared Anderson has shown us that he's shown a little bit of lack of confidence in himself. In recent interviews, we know the lead up to that Charles Moore fight, he did an interview with Roy Jones, and he's been talking about retirement in his later 20s, and basically just showing that he is really the big baby. You know what I mean? Shout out to everyone that's joining. What's up, Ralph? I see you. Omar, was good. Dominique, Will, what's up with y'all? He showed lack of confidence in his most recent interviews. And I think that after he had beaten Charles Martin, even you seen him in the dressing room, like crying after that, because he probably felt like he didn't give a good performance. You know what I mean? And I think he needed to get back in the ring, and I think he needs to stay as active as he could. I think, especially fighters of this age that's on a come up. Pepino, what's up? I see you. I think fighters at this age they need to be as active as possible. I mean, these guys should at least be fighting 3 times a year, at least, really 4. But Jared Anderson has been active, and I think it's good because it's showing us, especially with this fight, Radenko really didn't have much to offer him offensively. Radenko has been in there with a lot of fighters. He's lost to pretty much all of the top guys he's fought, but he's been pretty durable throughout his career. And what I saw is Jared Anderson. Obviously, Jared was the better talent between the two. We all knew that going into the ring. But he showed patience in this fight. I like the way he went to the body. I mean, Radenko was there to get hit, but Jared Anderson really displayed some good body work in this fight. And I liked it. I like what I saw from him. And he didn't fight in a sense where he was just trying to get a quick knockout. This is the first time I've seen him actually fight with patience, I think that's one of the key things a lot of us had criticized him for leading up to this point. And it's not really a criticism. It's just that when we see you knock out so many, you knock out every single person you fought, it's kind of like, all right, what happens when you can't knock them out? How well do you do? And I think that was what we were saying for Edgar Berlanga. We're saying the same thing with him. It's like, you knock these guys out in the first round of every one of your fights. What happens when you get into a real fight? Are you going to perform just as well on the scorecards? And I think that was really the debate that we had about him. And then when we seen him finally get into a real fight, he didn't look as good. You know what I mean? So I think with Jared Anderson, I think that was the only thing we really wanted to see. At least for me, I can definitely speak for myself. That was the one thing I was like focused and concerned about is Jared Anderson. Is he going to still perform when it comes to winning on the cards? You know what I mean? Some fighters, it doesn't really matter. Like Deontay Wilder, for example. It doesn't really matter if he's winning on the cards, if he's guaranteed to knock you out. Same thing with Tank Davis. He's gotten to these fights where it's like, some of these guys win rounds or some of these guys hit him a lot. Then that one shot comes and then pow, the fight is over. You know what I mean? That you ask Mario Barrios, ask Leo Santa Cruz. Some of these guys do well. Hector Garcia. Some of these guys do really, really well. But at the end of the day, if you got that one punch knockout power, doesn't really matter. And with Jared Anderson, I don't feel like he's ever had that one punch knockout power. He usually beats his guys up like based on volume, like an Errol Spence. But he showed a lot of his game, in this fight here. I think he showed better defense. And I think he showed better patience. Like it was nice setups, and he was more concerned about what was being thrown back at him. But at the end of the day, Radenko didn't have much to offer from an offensive standpoint. You know what I mean? He was standing right in front of him. He was fighting out of a high guard. So it was very easy for Anderson to just attack and destroy his body like the way he did. You know what I mean? Jared Anderson, and he was slow. Radenko didn't really have nothing much to offer, but still, Jared Anderson, if he wanted to, like if he fought him the same way as he fought everybody else, he could have got him out of there probably like 1 or 2 rounds at least. You know what I mean? But he definitely showed patience in this fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do next. I don't know what Bob plans because Bob has like a nice lineup over there on Top Rank with top heavyweights or guys on the come up. He do have a nice lineup, so I really don't know, what they're gonna do with Jared Anderson. And then they have that good. He has a good. Relationship with Frank Warren, all right, in Queensbury, and they kind of like Top Rank Queensbury. They had that deal where Queensbury usually when they have their fights on ESPN, and vice versa. So with that being said, there's a lot of fighters there, and there's a lot of fights that could happen. And I don't know if Bob is going to put Jared Anderson in tough in his very next fight. He could, but Jared Anderson is already calling out guys like Frank Sanchez, who I've been saying for a minute. And I feel like Jared Anderson be watching our videos, because I feel like that's the fighter that a lot of us, at least here on my channel, I can't speak for everybody else, but I feel like that is his greatest test outside of like the champions or the former champions. I think from a stylistic standpoint, I think Frank would be the most difficult for him out of all these other guys. I'm not saying that these other guys don't have a chance. You know, you got guys like Jalalev, you got F.A. Jagba, which is realistic. I mean, he fought on the same card. You got Arslan back. I think all of these guys are a possible opponent for Jared Anderson. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fighters, but Frank Sanchez is just like, for me, he can take away your talents, you know, from his movement. I've seen him fight both kind of fights. I've seen him fight very aggressively. And I feel like when Frank tries to get the knockout, he doesn't look as good. But when he's like being defensive, he's really tricky. He's really crafty. He's really slick. And I think he'd be tough for Jared Anderson. You know what I mean? But it would be a good fight. Not saying the fight shouldn't happen, because if he wants to challenge himself, that's the way you go. But I think like Frank Sanchez is one of the most difficult. Like, I think he's like the sleeper of the heavyweight division. Like, he's that one guy that, you know, even if you beat him, you're not gonna look good fighting that dude. You know what I mean? Zozo says get them likes up. Yeah, definitely. Please smash the like button on your way in, please. Let's get these likes up. I appreciate that. All right, but good win for Jared Anderson, and there's a lot of opportunities there for him. You know what I mean? And I look forward to it. You know, I think he is, for the Americans, I think he is the next guy. You know, I know there's a lot of other American heavyweights that's going to come up too, but I feel like he's in a lead as far as like championship potential. You know what I mean? And by a lot to me. You know, I don't think anybody else. Also, there's other guys too. I didn't name, like I've been saying, Fabio Wardley would be a good opponent. Daniel Dubois would be a good opponent, you know, even though he just lost to Usyk. These fights I brought up before, you know, but there's plenty of opportunities out there for Jared Anderson. All right. All right. So let's move on to the next topic. I meant to bring this up the other day, but I forgot. The last wave report, I meant to bring this up. Jesus Ramos is going to be facing Erickson Lubin on the Canelo Alvarez Jamel Charlo undercard. And this undercard is shaping up to be really, really good. You know what I mean? I think all of the 4 fights, I forgot the 4th fight, but you got Ugas and Barrios too. That's a really good fight in my opinion. But this fight here is good, man. I've been low-key hyping up Jesus Ramos for a little bit now, you know, and he's already shown, you know, he beat Joey Spencer in his last fight, dominated him, won every round in my opinion, and stopped him, you know, and he has already beaten Brian Mendoza, you know, who Tim Tszyu is going to be facing. Brian Mendoza is the WBC interim champion, so he's already got a win over him. And Erickson Lubin is just like a young vet, you know, he's 27 years old, but and I think Ramos is only like 22, but Erickson Lubin has been around for a long time. You know what I mean? And I know he lost to Sebastian Fundora, but this is a great fight, you know, and Ramos is a guy that I can see him getting outboxed. All right, but it's going to take a lot to do it, you know, because Lubin has been hurt in throughout his career. He's been stopped in both of his losses, so he can be stopped. You know what I mean? He's got stopped in the first round by Charlo, 1-punch knockout. And he was broken down by Sebastian Fundora. And Ramos is another very big super welterweight. You know what I mean? He's very big. He can easily fight at 160. He might be even a little bigger than Lubin, I think. And this is a great fight. And I think the winner of this fight should be fighting for a title after this. You know, I think the winner of this fight is right there. You know, Lubin is right there. And Ramos is right there. You know, beating Brian Mendoza, beating Joe Spencer. And if he gets a win over Lubin as well, he's right there. Big fight for Lubin. You know, important fight for Lubin. Is very, very important for him. Because I know he's been, and I know in his last fight, he beat Luis Arias. And they both fought this year already. Both got wins this year. Lubin for Arias, and it was a good win. But I know that was like a little bit above 154. I know they fought at catch weight. I just feel like if Lubin loses again, I think some sort of change need to happen. You know what I mean? Um, and maybe it's time to at least maybe stay at 160. At first for starters, maybe it's time to move at 160. Maybe the weight cut is too much for you. He's been there for a while now. Maybe the weight cut is too much, and I don't want to blame it all on weight, but maybe the weight has something to do with you being not being so durable. You know what I mean? But Jesus Ramos is a puncher, and he's a big guy, and this is gonna be a tough fight. Very very good fight, and I look forward to this fight. Early MC said at the press conference, Ramos and Lubin looked about it, saying, "Yeah, I saw the face off, and they looked to be about the same height." But again, Lubin is kind of a bigger light heavy too. I mean, I'm not light heavy, light middleweight, super welterweight. Lubin's kind of big for the weight too, but I think on the fight night, you're gonna see Ramos fill up, and he's probably gonna look a little bigger in the ring. Because he's looked much bigger than everybody else he's faced up to this point. You know what I mean? So I think he's gonna fill up probably a little bit more than Lubin, but we'll see on fight night. I mean, Lubin has the skills to win on points, but it really depends on what approach Lubin takes. He can box really, really well. I think for Lubin, and I'm not giving you any prediction yet, but I think for Lubin really got to attack the body. I mean, he's a good body puncher, and I think he needs to break Ramos down a little bit. We haven't seen Ramos he ain't fighting nobody that's really gone to his body like that. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to the fight. Really good fight. All right. All right. So just want to go over real quick. Manny Pacquiao is looking to join the 2024 Olympics in Paris and represent the Philippines. I wasn't surprised when I read this because Vladimir Klitschko recently, maybe a few years ago, was talking about doing the same. And this was post retirement. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the only thing is him passing qualifications. At first when I heard about like these older guys going back and doing it, I didn't really like it at first, but I really don't have a problem with it because the Olympic rules is, you're older, so you're far past your prime. I mean, Pacquiao's far past his prime. But I don't really have a problem with it because when it comes to every other sport, you're just representing, they're taking whoever represents their country, and I know traditionally a lot of younger guys do it. And when it comes to boxing, but if you look at every other sport, the best represents the country. It's all about winning the gold. You know what I mean? And if he's still considered to be the best at his weight, whatever weight he's going to be fighting at, I don't have a problem with it. You know what I mean? It's not like professional boxing where you're, I mean, there's no age limit to that either, but it's all about the rankings and the sanctioning bodies and all of that. If he chooses to do it, then do it. If you go for it, go for it. I think the disadvantage for him is that he's not in his prime. He's far past it. So, he's going to be facing off against who? Some younger, hungry guys that are used to fighting in an amateurish way. Whereas Pacquiao, he's been relying on his power and stuff and his explosiveness, where it could be effective, it could be good, but in an amateur style fighting is a different kind of fight. You know what I mean? So he would have to adjust to fighting that way, and it's in the way that he hasn't fought in a while. You know what I mean? But it's Manny Pacquiao at the end of the day. If that's what he wants to do, it's nothing against that. It's nothing against Klitschko from doing it. Like he talked about doing it. If you want to represent your country, and if you're the best to do it and you pass qualifications, you make it to the very end, I have no problem with it. I have no problem for anybody that's doing it. Even Floyd Mayweather to come back. A lot of these guys felt that they were robbed in the Olympics. Shakur Stevenson, I think Roy Jones probably was the worst one of them all. Obviously, Roy is way past it. But anyway, I don't really have a problem with it. You know what I mean? And Olympics is free and open to anyone that makes the cut and to represent their country. So I don't really have a problem with that. All right. All right. So let's talk about the main things that I wanted to discuss in this video. All right. The big things here. Liam Smith is going to be fighting Chris Eubank Jr. this weekend on the rematch. I did get a chance to rewatch the fight yesterday morning. I did, I wanted, like I said, I wanted to make some content the last couple of days. Just been a little bit under the weather, but I did get to watch the first fight again, and try and decide on where I wanted to go with this fight. It's hard to call for the rematch. I thought Eubank was going to win. All right. I thought that, I don't think I was expecting a stoppage in the first fight, but I thought he would win the first time around. All right. He was naturally a bigger guy. I just thought that Liam Smith and I thought he was just going to be too predictable for Eubank. And I thought Eubank would have had the ability to win, based off his size, his power, his athleticism, and his durability up to this point. I thought he would win. Now, as I rewatched the fight, I thought that Eubank won the second and third rounds, and I thought Liam won the first rounds. All right. I thought Eubank edged out the second. I thought the second was the closest round to score. I thought the third was a clear Eubank round, and I thought the first was a pretty good Liam Smith round. I gave him the edge, but they were not. I would say going into the fourth round before the stoppage, I don't feel like Eubank was ever fully in control. I thought Liam was pressing the action. What I liked from Liam is that he kept timing the right hand right over Eubank's jab, which is his best weapon. Eubank's jab is his main key to victory. Who's the other fighter that Eubank fought? Jesus. The other Liam. Let me pull him up. I can't remember his name right now. Okay. Oops, I put Chris Eubank Sr. All right. Liam Williams. I couldn't think of his last name. When Chris Eubank fought Liam Williams, when I look at Williams and when I look at his fights with Liam Smith, his fights with Demetrius Andrade and Chris Eubank, Liam Williams is not the most durable guy. He's very aggressive. I think he's kind of dirty, but he's not the most durable guy, out there. And Eubank was able to hurt him with his jab, and I just don't think that Williams is that skilled, crafty. I think he's just a powerful brawler. You know what I mean? He was able to time Eubank at times, but I think Williams' success in that fight with Eubank was the fact that Eubank burned out in the second half of the fight, but he kept getting knocked down. I mean, might argue that Williams even might have won more rounds outside of the ones where he didn't get hurt. All right. But going into this fight here, I feel like even though I gave Eubank 2 of the 3 rounds up to the stoppage, I don't feel like Eubank was ever really full control, after going back and watching it. Liam Smith did a great job in getting in range. I love the level changing and the head movements from Smith. I think he displayed a lot more of it in this fight than I've seen him in other fights. He fights out of a high guard, really likes to just step in with the jab and land the right hand. I like the left hooks in that fight from him too with Eubank. Eubank did a good job with his jab. He did land some good flurries too. But I think the majority of his punches were too wide. I wanted to see a little bit more punches, like straight shots from him, and then him to mix it up. I also think that with Eubank fighting Roy Jones Jr., because this is the thing, I've said this before. This Roy Jones style, while he was working with Roy, right? Um, Even though he's very athletic, he was not nearly as athletic as Roy. And him fighting with his hands down and stuff, he's quick, obviously he has power, but I just don't feel like he's that great at fighting with that style. You know, one thing with the left hook, which is a major key to Roy Jones' style, Eubank has a good left hook, but a lot of the left hooks he was throwing, he was slapping, right? He wasn't really turning the punches and hitting Liam with the knuckles. You know what I mean? A lot of those punches were slap, and he was timing it right, but it just wasn't turning. And I think the problem is, I'm like saying to myself, like, okay, I think, and I'm going to get to the knockout because I think that's the biggest part of this fight, the first fight. I think the key thing with Eubank is that him not landing with power, like pure power, like not trying to hurt Liam it's really bad for him in that first fight. You know, it was more like he was just trying to avoid him. And when you're the bigger guy and you're a durable guy and you're a big puncher and you're fighting in a style where you're trying to be evasive, when we know that we've seen you in the past fight a more aggressive kind of style, like we're talking about back when he fought Billy Joe Saunders, back when he fought George Groves, even though he lost that fight too, back when he fought James DeGale. You got to be a little bit more physical. You can't let the smaller guy come in. And even though we know that Liam Smith like fights that kind of fight, like he's more of an inside, a mid-range kind of guy, you have to be somewhat aggressive with him. You can't just be evasive because Eubank is just not that slick as he's trying to be. He's putting himself in the corner. He's slipping shots. He's bending and he's doing all this stuff to move and get out of the way of these shots. But I don't think he is that good at that. You know what I mean? I think there's certain periods where he needs to do it, but I don't think he should solely rely on like fighting on his back foot and put his back against the ropes. I think Liam Smith is on a level above Liam Williams. And I think he needed to bring the fight to Liam Smith a little bit more. So going into and so I want to end this, or I want to talk a little bit about the knockout. I rewatched the knockout a couple of times again yesterday because I remember the elbow. Right, there's an elbow that landed that I believe is what causes the lump on his underneath his eye. There's a period where Liam is throwing combinations while Eubank is trying to slip and duck and dodge all these shots. Liam landed like two of those shots. I think it was an uppercut and a shot. It was another shot that I think the left hand that he threw that caused the elbow. There was like two shots that landed in that first exchange. And then after that shot with the elbow, he landed like 3 or 4 more shots, which put Eubank down. Okay. I don't know how much of an effect that elbow had. I believe that it was a big effect of what happened and how he got stopped. I think out of all of the shots, that probably hurt him the most. And then following up with 3 or 4 more punches. And I don't think the elbow was intentional. It was thrown with a punch. And I think with Eubank moving his head, towards the direction of the punch, I think he might have got clipped with the elbow as well. I think Eubank has a chance of winning. And it's kind of similar to what I heard Bo Mack say, because Bo Mack is going to be with him, not Roy. I think he got a little careless. I think he's fighting in a way where he's putting himself in the corner. I think Roy has said it the same thing. He got a little careless. He was a little confident and moving and slipping. and he got caught. You know, I think he has the ability to win this fight. I do. But I also like what I saw from Liam. Liam didn't have too much trouble getting in range, landing the right hand over the jab. I like the head movement from Liam. I like what I saw there. So before I started doing like film study yesterday, in my head, from what I remember in the first fight, I think with a few adjustments, I think Chris could win the fight. But I also think, and I think he's going to have adjustments. I think he's going to do better. But I also think that at some point in the fight, Eubank is going to burn out a little bit. And the longer this fight goes, I think Liam is going to take over. You know, I don't think we're going to get the knockout that we saw as early as we saw in the last fight. I definitely doubt that. I seriously doubt that happens like that again. But I also feel like when it comes to rounds, I think Liam is still going to be pressing forward consistently, whereas Eubank is going to burn out and slow down a bit, which is going to allow Liam to take, I think those later rounds are going to be a lot more clear. I'm not predicting a knockout, but I think Liam may win. I'm predicting Liam to win in a very close decision win this time around. I don't think he stops Eubank again, and I'm basing that off the elbow. I think the elbow played a major effect in that knockout. I know it wasn't everything, but it was a big part, and it's what caused the swelling. But I have Liam winning on points this time around. I think Eubank is gonna win the early half. But I think Eubank needs to stop him. I think he needs to stop him or drop him or hurt him. If he doesn't fight, if he just say, I don't know what him and Bomac got planned, but if they're going in there just thinking that boxing a little bit better or boxing a little bit smarter, I think it takes more than that. I think it's going to take him being more aggressive. And if he could become aggressive to a point where he can back up Liam Smith and beat a bigger man and land some of the, like, really go and fight this man, I think he wins. But if he's just going in there and coming with the same game plan and boxing a little bit better, yeah, he may not get knocked out, but he still may lose the rounds later, in my opinion. All right. But I got Liam right now to edge the fight. All right. Close fight, though. Should be a better fight, much better fight than the first one. All right. All right. So let's move to the next topic. I did skip over a part. I wanted to speak on Danny Jacobs. He's recently come out and called out Jamal Charlo. I think that would be great. I mean, that fight was supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen already. Jamal Charlo has not fought, and he's been out in the ring. It's a great, Jacobs is not that active. He hasn't been that active the last few years. He hasn't fought since John Ryder over a year and a half ago. So Charlo's been out the ring for 2 years, for over 2 years, and Jacobs has been out the ring for over a year and a half. And Jacobs is older, and he's been in there for a while. These guys should fight each other. I don't think Charlo, if I said this before, I don't think Charlo's first fight back should be in a championship level type of fight. Better BF, not better BF. I'm sorry. Benavidez, not better BF. Benavidez first fight back would have been a slaughter. Plant, slaughter. Canelo, slaughter. You know what I mean? I think Charlo needs a fight. I don't think they should be holding a belt hostage any longer at 160. All right, because Charlo won't be coming back at 160 at the end of the day. Let that belt go. But Jacobs is a realistic fight because Jacobs hasn't been that active. He's coming off of a loss, controversial one in my opinion. I thought he edged the fight against John Ryder, in my opinion. But I think those two should fight each other. I mean, that fight could have been made already. That fight should have happened. They didn't have Android beef, but they have some beef. That time they faced off in the arena that time in the back area. You know what I mean? So they should fight each other. You know, why not fight each other? You know, Jacobs, he said in the story that I read on Boxing Scene that, you know, he has one or two more left in him. You know, and I think he should. And, you know, I don't even think he looked bad against Ryder, you know. So with that being said, you know, Charlo hasn't fought in a while. Jacobs hasn't fought in a while neither. And he hasn't been that active. Take the fight. All right. Take the fight. Should be a good fight. All right. But hopefully Charlo can get back in the mix. All right. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. All right. Let's talk Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. And then I'm going to pivot off to Shakur versus Frank Martin. All right. But we're going to start out with Shakur Stevenson in this Devin Haney situation. And please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up, man. Let's get up to 50 likes. I appreciate if all of you guys in the comments just hit the thumbs up for me. And shout out to everyone in the comments. I see all you guys. Let's talk about this fight. Now, look, this is, to me, in my opinion, the way I view all of this is a build-up for a fight that's going to happen in the future. You know, I wish it happened now. But I feel like all of this is a build-up to the future. I don't think they're going to fight right now. I would like for them to, but I don't think they will. All right. Roland Curtis, thank you for the donation. He says Caleb Plant called out Jamal Charlo just yesterday on the I Am Athlete podcast because of what Plant did to Charlo. Plant versus Charlo feels urgent. It feels urgent because he just got slapped. It does. It is urgent because of the situation, because there's a real beef there now. But Charlo is in no condition to fight Caleb Plant in his very first fight. You know, not saying he can't win, but he's very unlikely to win because I don't know where the hell he's at. He didn't even have the reflexes to get out of the way of that shot. He took it straight to the face. You know, I've seen Charlo in these messy situations, drinking, you know, crying, just all of the mental health issues all on a platter. You know, if he comes back and loses the Plant and loses to him bad, I don't want to hear he's just not the same. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear it. He didn't even look great in his last performance. You know what I mean? I feel you, because there's a buzz there now and there's a real beef between them. But at the same time, he just needs to get back in the ring with someone that is not as good right now. You know, I think at the highest level right now is Jacobs, and it shouldn't even be any further than that right now. Just my opinion. If they make the fight with Plant, cool. You know, but I don't even know where Jamal is at right now. You know, because I just know that that's not the same Jamal that we're used to seeing. You know, it is what it is. I got to keep it real. You know, but anyway, let me go back to the topic. I don't feel like Shakur and Haney, but hold on. Let me just go on. Hold on. This sparring stuff, it doesn't mean anything to me. These videos of them sparring has been out for a long time. They don't mean anything to me. You know what I mean? Both of these fighters are far more advanced of where they were at that time. Okay, and those videos are old. First of all, let me start out with that. Those videos are old. Second of all, that video where Bill Haney is talking about Shakur and how they view him, you know, as you know, he's tough and he's, you know, it's a tough guy to beat, and he's bigging up Shakur in his video, but he's being recorded without his knowledge. You know what I mean? I don't like shit like that. I just don't. I think it's too much of that going on, not just with boxing, but in general. All right. Do you guys hear me good? Because I know I'm talking really low today. I'm talking low today because I'm a little bit congested, but Do you guys just let me know if you guys hear me clear in a comment? But yeah, I just think that's corny. You know, don't record the man like that. He's talking. I don't have a problem with him showing or expressing how good Shakur Stevenson is. We already know that. We're aware of that. It doesn't change anything on how we feel about how that fight should have happened, at least not in my opinion. Now, if you wasn't here for the last time I spoke on this, I said to you guys that I think Shakur should have taken the 25%, right? And I still stand in my ground on that. I don't think Shakur versus Devin Haney is the same situation as Spence and Crawford, or how Wilder and Joshua, or some of these other situations. There is no reason, and Bill has come out and said that Shakur won a 50-50. I don't really, I can't see, and I believe in, betting yourself and knowing your worth, and I believe in all that. Cool. But we got to be realistic here. You about to fight a guy that has all 4 belts, and that is a career lightweight. All right. This is how different it is from you and, Crawford and Spence. This guy has been a career lightweight, right? And he's fought his way to get the opportunity to fight for undisputed. And we're talking about Devin Haney. Not only did he win, but he also defended it against George Kambosos and Vasyl Lomachenko at lightweight. All right. Devin just got there. And I know Devin is former unified champion. I know he's a 2-division champ. That's cool. All right. But Devin Haney, he took those risks in getting those belts. He went to Australia. He took a pay cut. He was the lower end of those purses. All right. He did the work to get those belts. And he did it twice. After winning the fight against Kambosos, he had to go out there again and get paid less than George Kambosos. He did it twice, even as the champion. And he went and beat Lomachenko after that. Who do you have on your resume that's Lomachenko? It doesn't matter how I feel. We can feel whatever. I feel that Shakur is a little better than Devin Haney. I like them both equally, but I feel that Shakur is a little bit more talented. It doesn't matter how I feel. It's just a feeling. I don't know. They didn't fight yet. I don't care about some sparring video from years ago. They didn't fight yet. You haven't gotten paid more than Devin Haney. And you are not more accomplished than him neither. You don't have a better resume. Yes, Devin Haney has fought the better fighter. He's fought Kambosos, coming off of a win against Teofimo Lopez, and he fought Lomachenko and beat them both. The Oscar Valdez win was a great win. It was a great win. I'm not trying to downplay it, but it just don't make sense for you to ask for 50-50. And my point in that video was saying, dude, how bad do you want it? Everybody at some point had to take a pay cut to reach that next level. You're basically, it's basically you're investing into that undisputed, that undisputed championship. It's an investment. I'll take the 25%. If I'm confident that I can beat you, I'll take it because I want that. That is historical. It's historical to be 4-belt undisputed. You get it in one fight. You get it in one. You get the full package. You don't have to wait like Devin did and deal with this franchise bullshit and all this shit. You don't have to. You're skipping all of that. You skipped all of that. You skipped the line just to get the fight in one package for 25% of the purse. And you turned it down. You turned it down. because you feel you're worth more. Again, your situation is not Crawford and Spence. It's not that situation. Devin is coming in with more on the table. Why is he going to split it down the middle with you? He's earned more and he's more proven right now. You didn't even make weight on your last fight at 130. There are people that say still that you are a weight bully. Now, do I believe that? No, but you could be. You got stripped on your last fight at 130. You're more popular for the people that say he's more popping. He's more popular than Devin Haney. Based on what? What are we basing that on? What are we basing that on? Are we basing that on Instagram following? Or are we basing that off who you hear talking about who more? Like, what do you base? And yo, I love Shakur Stevenson. I love Shakur Stevenson. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch, period. Outside of like Bud Crawford or like maybe a couple people, he's my favorite to watch. But let's get the fanboy shit out of the way. I know a lot of people don't like Devin Haney because of they don't like. So you got the Tank fans that don't like him because they feel like, you know, they like Tank better. And then you got the people that hate him because of the Lomachenko decision. I get that. But we're not talking about that right now. Why does Devin Haney, how is it he's ducking by offering him 25% when he had to take that? And he had to fly out to Australia. You don't got to fly to Australia. You guys go fight in Vegas. You will fight in a place you're real comfortable in fighting in, Shakur. So it goes back to what I was saying before. All this other shit is irrelevant. Oh, they got video of Bill Haney saying this, or they got sparring video who quit what. That shit is irrelevant right now. What's relevant is you got offered 25% to fight an undisputed champion in one fight. You had the opportunity to get undisputed and a fighter that you feel that you're better than. And you would probably be the favorite. Most people believe Shakur wouldn't win that fight. And you turned it down. Now, hopefully it happens. I don't think it's going to happen, but hopefully it does happen. As far as them going back and forth on Twitter, oh, you bitch ass nigga, this, that, and third. I don't care about that. That doesn't matter. You going on Twitter and y'all saying all this back and forth with each. It's Twitter is getting it's not getting, it's been corny. It's been corny, but it's like y'all saying all that when I see you in the street. Hey, come on, man. Yeah, like what are we doing, man? What are we doing? When I see you in the street, I see you anywhere it's going down. Bro, are you getting paid to fight in the street? Is that gonna be it's like, are you getting paid to fight in the street? I don't want to see you fight in the street. I want to see you fight in the ring. You guys are professionals. You guys are paid. You're getting paid millions. I don't want to see you when I see you in the street. You ain't gonna do nothing, man. You guys are like, you guys grew up together. You guys basically grew up together. Like Bill Haney is like Uncle Haney to Shakur. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I listen, and this is part of boxing. You know, friends become rivals all the time. We've seen it all the time. You know, friends become rivals, and it's all good. You know, Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, they friends. Oh, a lot of guys, these guys know each other, and they fought in the amateurs and all that. They know each other, good friends, but ain't gonna stop them from fighting each other and getting it on. You know, the Shakur was cool with Tank until Shakur said he wanted to fight Tank. Now they not cool. Y'all don't have to be cool. I get it. I'm not even mad at y'all talking to each other the way y'all talking to each other. But all the threats about what's going to happen when you see each other is corny. That's corny. But whatever y'all want to do to build up a fight. Yeah, the build up has started. It started the moment that Devin Haney won a decision against Lomachenko. What's up, Cano Loco? What's good? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Let's get it together, man. Um, let's get it together. That's all I gotta really say about those two. You know, I love them both though. I love both of them. I love both of them. I'm gonna support the both of them. All right, but I'm gonna also call it as it is. And I don't have a connection to any of these fighters, man. And even the ones that I do have somewhat of a connection with, I'm gonna still tell it as it is every single time. I am not trying to be nobody's friend. I'm not trying to get invited to the cookout. I'm not trying to get a beg for an interview. I'm just gonna call it as it is. And you don't have to like me because of what you've said. I don't give a damn. You won't be the first. But you should have taken the 25% if you really wanted to be undisputed. You know, 50-50, nah, son. Nah, you got to go through it. Everybody, Floyd, all these guys had to go through it in order to get there. You prove to everybody that you're the best. You take the pay cut to get there. That's what you do. You go for it. You know what I mean? And he didn't do it. And that's my stance on that. All that other stuff, it's irrelevant. Now, as far as the WBC ordering a fight between Shakur and Frank Martin, I love this fight. You know, I've said Frank wasn't going to fight. Um, he was going to fight. What's his name? Uh, Keyshawn Davis, because Frank is looking at he's looking at Tank. He's looking at Shakur. He's looking at the top. He's a high ranking contender already, and he's a little older. So Frank, everybody's talking Keyshawn because Keyshawn is under Bud Crawford, just like Frank is under Spence. And I'm saying to myself, I'm expecting Frank to get a fight with a Tank or Shakur Stevenson. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. So now that the WBC mandated it, I'm very happy. Let's see if it happens though. How's that fight gonna go? You gotta do a purse split, like do whatever y'all gotta do to make it happen. But these are the fights that I'm talking about. Shakur need to have on his resume at 35. Frank Martin's undefeated. You know what I'm saying? Be the first to take his you want to fight Devin Haney, or you want to make an argument that you should get more? Well, these are the guys you should be fighting at 35, 135. You know what I mean? So I love this fight. I hope it happens. There shouldn't be any reason for this to get in the way of that. If there, I think if Haney, I mean, I'm sorry, if Shakur had the opportunity to fight Haney, which he did, but if he has another opportunity to fight Haney, then I can see him doing that. You know, even though Haney's going to be fighting Prograis anyway. But and if Frank had the opportunity to fight Tank, I would see him fighting Tank. But outside of that, there's no roadblocks. Let's get it. Let's not make wrong side of the street. No, I don't want to hear that. Let's get it on. You know, whoever wins the purse bid, you win the purse. Showtime, you fight on the PBC. If you don't, or if Top Rank wins it, whatever y'all want to do, let's make the fight happen. There should be no roadblocks. There should be no ducking because, according to the WBC, Mauricio Solomon, both Isaac Cruz, who's rumored to be fighting Tank next, which was the plan. Let's be honest, they were saving his ass for Tank in a rematch. That's why they didn't put him in there with nobody since the first Tank fight. Isaac Cruz turned it down, and Vasil Lomachenko turned down the fight too, because both of those guys were ahead of Frank Martin on that WBC ranking. Even though Lomachenko lost to Devin Haney, he was still ranked high. He was still the number one guy. And he turned down a fight with Shakur Stevenson. Not enough people are talking about that, by the way, but I wouldn't expect them to. Lomachenko turned it down, just like Isaac Cruz. Both Isaac Cruz and Lomachenko turned it down. Isaac Cruz has turned it down a couple times already. He don't fight. First of all, I think originally it was William Cepeda, Golden Boy, Oscar. He turned it down with Shakur. Isaac Cruz turned it down. And now Lomachenko turned it down. You know, and what is Loma waiting for? Does he want to fight anymore? What is he looking to do? Is he looking to have another tune-up? What is there a tune-up for? Most people feel you won the fight with Devin. You should be getting right back in there, facing the top guy. Just my opinion. What are you going to tune up for? I don't know. All right, but I love the fight with Shakur and Martin. The shit happened, you know, and it should be we will need to wait 4 or 5 years for these kind of fights. They should be regular. This fight should be regular. No big deal. Somebody win the purse bid, and that's that. Let's get Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson. You know? Gio says, I think Loma wants the Haney fight rematch only. All right, well, you're not going to get that, buddy. So what happens? What are we just going to wait? What are we doing? Because Haney's going up to 140. And he made an offer to Shakur. Now, Shakur turned it down, but he made the offer. He made an offer to Shakur to fight for 75-25 split. Loma's name has not been brought back up. It's only been Shakur and Regis Prograis. So what is Loma waiting for? You know? But yeah, let's normalize. Yes, some solution says, why can't there be elite boxing fights every weekend? Yes. Let's normalize these kind of fights between Shakur and Frank Martin. Let's normalize it. It should be happening. They're both high-ranked fighters. What are we waiting for? We don't need to wait a build-up for this. Nah, we don't need to do that. We don't have to do it. All right. All right, let's talk Daniel Dubois against Usyk. All right. I haven't, like I told you, I started this video talking about this. Man, I've heard so many different takes on this. But most importantly, I did go back and watch the fight. I rewatched the fight. I did go back and rewatch the fight. And you know, I honestly didn't really think not much different from rewatching it. You know, I rewatched it, and what I've learned is that the instructions as far as the height of the belt and where not to hit or hit wasn't right before the fight. It must have been in the dressing room, you know. I heard so many people say that usually the referee usually tells you what is high and low when they're facing off in the ring. That's not true. A lot of the instructions are before these guys come out. It's while they're in the dressing room. You know, sometimes the ref says right there in the ring where to hit, what's low, what's high, what's good, what's, you know, the belt line. But they didn't for this fight, but they don't for a lot of fights. You know, a lot of fights, the instructions, you'll hear the referee say, I gave you guys the instructions back in the dressing room. Do you have any other questions? You know? So there was no instructions out in the ring. So I'm watching the fight, and I see the 5th round. Dubois hits him with the shot. Usyk goes down for a while. The ref stated right away that it was low. All right. It didn't take a long time. Usyk was down. He was huffing and puffing. He was down for a while. He eventually got up, and he was in his corner. There was a period where Usyk said he was ready to go. The referee stated, you know, you can have some more time. He was trying to give him the full 5 minutes. I think Usyk's corner was telling him to take more time because Usyk did look over to his left and looked at his corner. I think his corner was telling him to take more time when he said he was ready. Okay, but it was a lot of time that went by. So there are three views of it. Okay. Now what I'm noticing with the people that are stating their opinions, because there are a lot of professionals that's giving their opinion on this, and they're gone either way. I was watching Pro Box TV, I think yesterday morning. Paulie was on there, Chris Algieri was on there. They both believed that the punch was clean, it was good. They said it was borderline and it was clean. They said that referee Joe Cortez said it was low. Harvey Dock said it was borderline. Okay. A lot of boxers going on Twitter. They've done interviews. Too many to name. All right. Too many to name. A lot of them says low. A lot of them said fair or borderline or whatever. When I watched it live, I thought it was borderline. I still think it was borderline. All right. And I'll tell you why. I'll explain why. And I'll bring up the two pictures that screenshots. And I've seen plenty of different alterations of the screenshot. Some people take the screenshot while the punch didn't actually connect yet, which makes it even look lower. And then I've seen, good screenshots of it. Let me show you guys real quick of the screenshot from, because there's different views. There's one where it's on you can see the back side of Dubois. There's one where it is on one side of the punch and the other side view of it. All right, let's look at this picture here. This is the main picture that we've seen. All right, so we have this picture here. I watch it in slow motion in real time. In real time, it doesn't look bad. In slow mo, it looks bad from this angle. All right. Now, the navel, it's supposed to be below his belly. Anything below his belly is low. Okay. It's not testicles. I've even heard Danny Dubois say testicles, or a lot of people have said the testicles. All right. You don't have to hit them in the balls to be low. I've even gone back to watching Ward and Kovalev too. Ward actually hit a few shots lower than this. But yo, all right. So this punch here, what I'm seeing here is that Usyk's navel is actually, the trunks is actually lower than Daniel Dubois. Now, if you watch this in slow motion, I can't show you because I don't want to get flagged. Usyk's trunks are rising at this punch point before he gets hit, because he throws that right hook or right shot, like short right hand, and his trunks are like lifting up, but his navel is actually at the right underneath the top of his trunks. So that line on the top of his trunks is actually where his navel is at. His navel is actually, his trunks is not really that high. So I've seen all the pictures of his trunks being like up around his nipples. Funny. But his trunks are actually lower than Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois' navel is much lower than where his top of his trunks are. All right. So in this photo here, the only part that is above the trunks here is probably the very top of his thumb. Okay, so in this photo here, it's low. All right, it's still borderline, but it's low. It's low. It is what it is. The knuckles are all four of his knuckles are below. Okay, because his navel is at the top of the trunks. Even if these trunks are lifted a little bit, it's still low. All right. Now, let's present the second photo. Hold on, let me pull it up. Okay. All right. Now, from this angle, it doesn't look nearly as low because from this angle, it looks like his trunks are very high and very, very high, like looks way above where his navel would be. And you can see that a lot more of his glove is covering above the top of his trunks. You know, these are the two angles that they showed during the fight. All right. This looks, I wouldn't say clean, but it looks border, where if I've seen it only from this angle and no other picture above, I wouldn't have disputed. I would have disputed the low blow because this does not look that low. It is below the trunks, but his trunks from this angle looks very, very, very high. Very high. All right. Again, if you're watching a slow-mo, again, I can't show you on here because I don't want to get flagged. But yeah, this is the shot. And both of these shots I screened it before I slow-moed it and screened it myself. No, the shorts are not edited. I didn't know edit this picture. All right. I don't know how to edit. But anyway, I think that I think overall it's not the most lowest of shots, but technically it is low because of where his navel was. It was right underneath the top of his shorts. So you have to assume that no matter what angle you punch or whatever angle you show, remember his navel is right underneath the top of his shorts. And any angle you see the punch, you're going to see the majority of his knuckles are underneath the shorts, just the belt line, the line. All right. So EQ, again, it's not the balls that make it low. It's not the balls that make it low. It's below the belly. Below the belly is technically low. All right. That is not the nuts. Everybody thinks it's the nuts. It's anywhere underneath the belly. All right. So yeah, I don't know why this guys keep saying it's edited. It's not edited. All I did was froze it screenshotted it, and uploaded it on here. And I'm not making a case against Usyk here. I do think when I watched it in real time the other day when I was live, even when they showed it slow, it looked clean. It looked clean. But if you again, I think certain sides of the video, it looks like more on that other side that I was just showing you. That side makes it look more clean than the side where you can actually see the full uppercut. The punches side is where it looks low. The opposite side of the punch, it doesn't look as low. You know what I mean? It looks more clean because half of the glove is straight border. All right. So below the belly button, it's not the balls, it's below the belly button. All right. Now, there are some issues that I've heard leading up to this, and I just want to address this before I move on. Team Usyk, or Usyk, said he would have gotten back up if he was getting counted. I don't know. We don't know at this point what he would have done, but I can tell you that for the amount of time that you were on the ground, there's nothing that would indicate that you would get back up, because the amount of pain you expressed because you reacted as if you got hit low. So to say that you would have jumped back up if you were getting counted is bullshit to me. You know what I mean? You not only was on the ground for way more than a 10 count, you was on the ground for a minute, for at least a minute, before getting up and needing more time in your corner. You know what I mean? So don't say that you would have jumped up, because that would show that you were acting like you got hit with a low blow and you weren't really that hurt. You know what I mean? You were down. And this is why people are calling it a robbery, because if it was a clean punch, if the referee said this was clean, you would have been down and you wouldn't have been able to get up. So saying that you would have jumped up sounds ridiculous. Also, there's a channel that I respect. I love the channel. I'm not gonna say who, because I don't want them to feel like I'm dissing them, because I really like this channel. And it's an old school channel. Channel has been around for years. They were making a case for Usyk, explaining how, a punch is low when it's below the belly, which is true. And they were going hard, and they were saying the Triple D robbery claims were ridiculous and all of this stuff. They were going in. This channel made a video basically saying, and I'm only bringing this up because I've seen a couple of comments on this as well. You cannot go hard with saying that this punch was low and then say that Usyk is weak to the body. Which one is it? If Usyk is weak to the body, that means that, or let me not say this, but if the punch is low and he got hit low like you claim, you can't say that he's weak to the body, because anybody is weak if they get hit low. So you're basically saying, like, you can't talk about how people are idiots and all of this stuff because they don't know the rules, but then say, like, oh, this guy is going to get hit to the body. The next fighter he faces is going to, go to his body. Was it a body shot or was it a low blow? Because you just broke down that it's a low blow. So he was hurt from a low blow, or was he hurt from a body shot? Which one is it? There's probably a few people that said this. I've only heard one channel, and I haven't heard many boxing takes on it. But which one is it? Is he weak to the body, or was it low? Because a low blow would hurt anyone. But a body shot might not hurt everyone. Some people, you can't say that Usyk's weakness is going to his body while saying that that shot was a low blow. Which one is it? This thing kind of happened when Ward fought Kovalev. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fighters that people said go to their body. They're weak there. All right, well, he got hit with a low blow. Where is it? Which one is it? Vlad said it could be weak to the body, but yeah, you're basing that opinion off the low blow. Vlad said, you're making my point. We're basing it off the low blow. We're not basing it off a body shot. Usyk may be weak to the body, but that wasn't exposed in this fight because he got hit with a low blow, right? This is what I mean. There's no one that's proven that he's weak to the body, not in a professional fight. No one has proven that. If he got hit with a clean body shot, like there's other body shots that Daniel Dubois hit him with in that fight that were clean. There were other shots that were clean, but they didn't drop him. That one did. The punch that everyone is saying that was low, and that ref ruled a low blow, that was a punch that dropped him and put him down. Yeah. Okay, Vlad. Oh, okay. I got you. Misunderstand. I get you. You're messaging and I'm talking, so I get you. Yeah. So Yeah, and good point, Lurie. Usyk took some heavy shots to the body from AJ Chisora, Dubois, and other heavy hitters, and he never got dropped. Yeah, he hasn't been dropped since Arthur Better BF in the amateurs. You know, at least that's the only time I've seen him get dropped. All right. Another thing too. Can we stop? Can we stop acting like people are idiots if they look at it a little different from you? What I gathered, and this is my final take on it, was pretty borderline. I don't think it was clearly low. You know, um, I know these pictures before these pictures and these still photos came out, there were a lot of people that felt like it might have not been low. If there's referees out here and pro fighters, championship level fighters that are making the argument that it wasn't low, it doesn't mean they're an idiot. It just, I think certain punches, they just feel that, should I got a pass? Should have been a knockout. Technically, I think it is low because again, it's the belly, it's the belly, it's the belly. I think that is it's a lot of fights we've seen that have been stopped because of shots below the belly that the ref didn't take it as a low blow. We see low blows all of the time, and a lot of fighters get a pass for it. And I think that's what's really it. It's like the official rule versus what we see on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Um, and that's another thing. EQ says if you hit directly on the belly, is that low? And that's my stance on this. It's very borderline, you know. I think from one angle, it looks like his knuckles are below the belly. From the other angle, it looks like his knuckles are right on the belly. You know what I'm saying? And if a guy like a Harvey Dark can say like it's borderline, it is borderline. And he said it's up to the referee, which is up to the referee. And this referee said it's good. I mean, it's low. And that's what we're gonna go with. You know what I mean? Um, and that's it. I think that's it. I really don't think I mean, it's part of the sport. There's always going to be some controversy, and I think it's nothing wrong with going back, doing the homework, and coming back. And what I think is, from what I've seen, the referee made a call, and I can't argue that call. Based on what I've seen, it looks like the majority of his glove is below the belly, which is right underneath the top of his trunks. It wasn't as high as people's made it seem. So I'm all good with whatever. The back and forth is all good. I just think insulting people that have a different view than yours is ridiculous because everybody is a lot. It's just too many people that are professional that feels differently. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is Crawford and Canelo. It's crazy because should they have a rematch? I don't want to see a rematch. I don't want to see a rematch. I think it was ridiculous for Daniel Dubois to get a title shot now anyway. But I mean, if they do it, it's whatever. I mean, yeah. I think I don't want to see a rematch, man. Outside of that shot, Usyk pretty much won the fight, clearly. So, but going into this fight, I think Dubois did what he needed to do. I think he was a little bit off, maybe by an inch from it being the perfect shot, but he landed the perfect shot, nearly perfect shot. Dubois wasn't going to win any other way. I broke the fight down before the fight, and I said that Dubois needs to get him out of there as early because the longer the fight is going to go, he's going to get tired. He doesn't have the cardio to keep up with Usyk. Dubois, even though he would stop later, because some people say How was he robbed and he got stopped later? Well, he was robbed. For the people that's making that argument, he was robbed from a win based on a punch they thought was clean. I don't think Dubois was ever going to win late because he doesn't have the cardio to keep up with Usyk. None of these guys have shown that they can keep up with Usyk late in the fight. That was the only way that Dubois, and this is why I put a couple dollars down on him possibly getting an upset. It was based on, I think, Dubois landing the perfect shot, probably to the body, and stopping him. And he almost did it, you know, and in a lot of people's eyes, he actually did. But he didn't get the call, and it is what it is. I don't want to see it again, though. No, I don't want to see it. You know, there's Tyson Fury, and if there's not Tyson Fury, there's Hrgovic, you know, and I think Hrgovic is more worthy of the fight than Dubois was, in my opinion. And I think I want to see an undisputed fight with Fury. I don't want to keep seeing these rematches. You know what I mean? Even with all the controversy behind it, Dubois didn't almost win the fight outside of that one punch. You know? Do I think he quit? Oh, that's the one thing I didn't bring up, man. I heard them say Dubois said he looked over his corner and he got up when his corner told him to get up or something like that. That's not a good excuse, man. You know, like, you got to get up. You know, you took a knee and you got up on the 10 count, you know. No, no. You didn't get up on time. You didn't get up on time. You know, now to say that he quit off a jab, I know he got knocked down the second time by a jab. I don't like saying that he quit. I don't like doing it unless like a clear quit. But no, he didn't get up and he didn't want anymore. Yeah. He quit. I just gotta be real, I guess. I gotta be real. I can't sugarcoat it. He didn't get up. He didn't want anymore. You know, he didn't get up. You take a knee and you try to pop up at the end. And I gave examples, Malik Scott, Derek Chisora, Charles Martin against AJ. You on your knee and you just get up at the very end, at the last count. It's like, oh, but I got up. I was okay. I was waiting for my corner to tell me when to get up. They told me to take the knee. No, get up. Don't get counted out. Get up. Don't get counted out on one knee. You know, I didn't say he quit in the first fight because he had a broken orbital bone. You know, he had a broken orbital bone. You know, yeah, just like Ryan Garcia. Yeah, Ryan Garcia too. You know, but it is what it is, man. Let's move on to Canelo and Crawford, so I can get on out of here. Canelo Alvarez, and please hit the like button if you haven't already. Canelo Alvarez has turned around now and said that he would be interested into the fight, and I think that's what happens, man. I think that's what happens. I think that's what happens with these fighters. Same thing with Crawford. You know, Crawford first said, you know, there's weight classes for a reason, and you know, he's too big and all of this stuff. And he turned around and said, like, yo, it's the biggest fight in boxing. He came out and said that. He's really pressing it too. He's not slowing down. He's keeping it. It's like he keeps talking about Canelo, you know? And he's saying, like, yo, I will go up to 168. It's the best boxing fight. And look, you know, and I know now they're pretty much, there's already reports that Spence and Crawford 2 is going down, you know. But Crawford's, I mean, Canelo has come around and said now that he's willing to do it, you know. He's changed his mind. Because before he was saying, like, yo, Yeah, Gio said it perfect. It makes money. It makes sense. Yo, it takes nothing for someone to get in your ear and be like, yo, listen, it could be Al. You never know. Like, hey, Canelo, not for nothing, but you fight Crawford right now while the buzz is crazy high. People are not going to even care that he's coming up 3 divisions to fight you, man. If people view him as being number one pound for pound, which most people do, they're not going to care. There's more than enough people already saying that Crawford would win the fight. And there's even more people that's saying that Crawford, or I'm sorry, Canelo don't got it no more and he's losing it. There's people out here that's saying Canelo is past his prime right now. You and Canelo and Crawford, all this pay-per-views be crazy. You know? So it makes a little bit more sense now. And I'm sure it took nothing for someone to get in Canelo's ear and just be like, yo, maybe you should leave the option open for your next fight and start to talk about it now, just in case they make that fight happen. I was watching a little bit of Canelo and Ryder, and Canelo Triple G3. Those last couple fights. Just a little bit, just like a few rounds. Because I'm starting to get in the rhythm of preparing for the Jamel Charlo breakdown. So I'm like watching a little bit of it, and I'm like also in my mind and back of my head, like, let me just picture Crawford fighting Canelo at 168, right? So Crawford would be fighting the version of Canelo that we've seen, because it's not gonna be no catch weight or anything like that, right? Canelo's just way better. Even when he hasn't looked great, he's still way better than anybody that Crawford faced. You know what I mean? Are you guys feeling me with that or nah? Like, even if you think Bud would beat him, and I do think Bud is more talented than him, how big is the gap when a guy is 3 weight classes above you? You know what I mean? I'm like watching and I'm like, yeah, he got tired against Beevil, and yeah, he got tired against Triple G and Ryder. But when Canelo was on, like, when the Triple G fight and those first 8 rounds, and when you look at the first 4 or 5 rounds against Ryder, I'm like, yo, this Canelo is a beast. The problem is with Canelo is I see that, and this is my own assessment. I mean, yeah, I might disagree with me, but this is how I feel about it. Y'all here listening to me, so let me know how y'all feel. I feel like when Canelo like went to 168 and he beat Callum Smith, right? Bigger man, he walked him down, pounded him away, didn't stop him, but beat him up pretty bad, right? Made the guy go up in weight. Then he had that fight with Billy Joe and just pretty much destroyed half of his face, right? Broke his whole shit up. And then he went into the fight and stopped Caleb Plant. You know what I mean? He went and stopped him. Then they was talking about him going to cruiserweight, fight Macabal, did a face-off with him, did a presser with him. And then he did the Bevo fight. I really feel like Canelo was feeling himself too much. I think he started believing a little bit into his old height, right? A little bit too much. And then when I started seeing what he was doing in the ring, he was abandoning his jab. All right. He wasn't setting up shots up the same. He was doing nothing but power shots. And he wasn't relying on his defense no more. You know? He was just coming in, doing really big, heavy, wide shots. Where's the jab? You know, where's the head movement that we see? I know a lot of us feel like maybe he's you know, getting older because he's been in the ring professionally for almost 20 years now. Been boxing since he was 15 as a pro. Maybe he's starting to slip a little bit. Maybe he just believed in his own hype a little bit. Not saying that he's not one of the best, because he is, but I think he was just relying too much of his power and getting stoppages based on those kind of stoppages he was getting. And maybe he's just going into these fights looking for knockouts, not setting anything up, not displaying defense, just going in there and winging heavy shots, thinking that I'm going to get the stoppage at some point. It happened with all of these fighters like Kovalev, Saunders, Plant. It happened with all of these guys. But when he got in there with Bivol, Bivol legit shut him down. There's nothing that I feel that Canelo could have done to win that fight. Bivol was bigger, and he was a better talent that night. But when it came to Triple G and Ryder, he was doing phenomenal. But again, he was just too focused on the knockout. He wasn't putting the punches together right. He wasn't moving his head like we saw in the Jacobs fight. Where was that? So maybe it's not all just he's starting to fade. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. Maybe mentally he's just relying too much of the knockout instead of just winning and outboxing his opponent, you know, being strategic, using that jab. You know what I mean? I think he's more capable of than what we've been seeing. I think he's relying too much on the knockout, the KO, the KO, the KO, and he's not been focused on what's getting thrown back at him. All right, not being focused on, you know, winning the rounds, setting up, you know, working towards a knockout. Just been wanting to get the big knockout, you know, and I think that's part of the problems. I think the Canelo that won him the Plant fight, the Saunders fight, the Callum Smith fight, I think that's the Canelo we need to see instead of the Canelo that's just brute force. You feel me? That's the way I look at it. It could be a little bit with age and experience and time in the ring, but it could be also his approach with every one of these fights. Just my opinion. Roder says, imagine if Charlo wins. That'll be crazy. Yeah, it would be crazy, you know, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm having a hard time. I feel like Charlo can win, but he has to be perfect. And Canelo has to be at his worst. You know what I mean? I can see it's not that I don't think Charlo can win. It's just that I feel like he has to be perfect. And I've never seen a perfect Charlo. You know, I think in the Castano rematch was the best version of himself, but I don't just necessarily mean like Castano is not Canelo. You know, and I know Jamel, we never seen him fight at this weight, but maybe he's not as quick, maybe he's not as athletic, maybe he's not, his cardio is not as good, you know. Maybe there are things in this fight that are unknown, you know. This always happens, you know, and I know Inoue and Fulton, to everybody now, is a clear win, but you know, these fights where guys are moving up are the hardest ones to predict, because we don't know if the move up is going to be effective or ineffective. We don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know if the fighter is going to be better fighting the way, especially when it comes to power. You know, um, I still think at their peaks, right? At their very peaks, wherever you want to place that stage in their career, I've always thought that Canelo was a step as far as overall talent than Charlo. So we're talking back at 54. We're talking at now. I've thought the best of Canelo was better than the best of Charlo. I saw the best of Charlo in his very, very last fight. And as good as Brian Castano is, I've seen Canelo fight guys that's on his level over and over again and come out on top. So this is why I'm still leaning towards Canelo, you know. I'm still leaning towards him. I would love for Charlo to win. That's my guy. I want him to win. I'm rooting for him. But it's about logic with me. It's not really about feelings. And even though I think that he can win, he has to play a really smart fight, smarter than he's ever done before. And I think the way that Charlo's been fighting now, and he's been fighting, I think the last fight with Castano was his most disciplined fight since getting with Derrick James, for sure. All right, because even in the Tony Harrison rematch, he was still losing. And again, if Canelo fought Tony Harrison, I know styles make fights, but if Canelo fought Tony Harrison, it wouldn't have taken nearly that long to get that knockout. Tony Harrison was winning a rematch before he got hurt. He was winning. But Charlo finally displayed, or maybe it was personal. Maybe he felt it was personal. Maybe that rematch, he wasn't going in there with a clear mind. He just wanted to knock him out. But in the Castano rematch, it wasn't really personal. It was more like winning the rematch. And Castano took his best punches in the first fight. You know? I think Canelo, if he fights, Canelo goes back to him actually boxing, working behind his jab like he did in the Triple G rematch, I think he can win without too much trouble. But I also think he can give Bud Crawford a great fight. Outside of being a bigger guy. But if we're looking at everything, I'm kind of interested in the Crawford fight. I'm interested in seeing it. But it looks like we're going to get Crawford and Spence too. All right. All right. Listen, I got to get out of here, man. It was a good live with you guys, man. Please smash the like button again and subscribe to the channel if you are new. All right. And I guess I could see you tomorrow as well. All right. And as far as Eubank and Smith, don't know if I'm covering it. I will try to jump on towards the later half of that card, but I'm not sure. I can't, no guarantees for Saturday. But that's all the fight that's happening Saturday. Only big card that's happening this weekend. All right. So be on the lookout for some more breakdowns, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.